Alright, so this is the contraption I've made. Basically, this cross member is upside down. This is the part that holds the transmission. Right now, I learned before I cut it up, I realized that it is a flat spot from here to here. But in the middle, you have the exhaust, passage through. And then generally speaking, this dips down right here. And it's exactly the thickness of this piece of metal, which is why I originally bought that, because I was going to redo where the mount goes. But instead, I cut out the section of the mount, I bent down the metal, and obviously my welder broke. I have this MIG welder, the arc welder. I did what I could, but just to show you what I did, and basically the reason why this is all like this is because the transmission was up higher in the car because of the way the transmission was. Like this transmission is an inch downwards, it appears. I was trying to measure from the center line. So I have it up all the way and then some. So I have this down quite a bit, but it's level. Right now, the bottom of this, where the mount was, it's level now with this piece of angle line that's level to each side. Because if I put a straight piece going across the chassis, I would have been able to do that. But then I wouldn't have a spot for the exhaust, and I would have had to make a hump. And honestly, the original, thing has been here for 50 years. The only thing I did is, like I said, I cut it out and I reversed it. I'm hoping that it works, and that's basically it. I cut it out exactly where it was up and just flipped it over and put it down. That was the best thing I could think of at the moment. The mount should fit right in there. I may have to trim this, but I just tack welded everything with the thing, and I added more metal because there's a lot of loose ends here. Because over here I had to hammer this down because I wanted to weld something here, but it's not really close yet. I got to I'm going to cut this guy here because it's in this thing. I'm going to cut it straight across, and whatever metal is there, I'm going to bend it up so that could weld to there. And this I just cut, I made it longer. I'm just going to cut it off and grind the welds. I just got tack welds. They're very bad. I haven't welded in a long time. I really wanted my MIG welder to work, which I'm probably going to go get now. But I think right now when I take off all of these vice grips, hopefully it's going to stay in one piece. Ha ha ha. So let's see. I got this guy off. And I don't make it any more difficult for myself by having a mess, but it is what it is. So right now the big angle iron should come free, and the cross member will be by itself. And you can almost, well, unless I was hearing that, sometimes when you have it welded right, when the metal kind of like, it rings. It doesn't sound like a thump, I have it tacked at enough places that it should be right. So basically, I'm going to cut, this is basically what's going to be holding the train. And these holes may not be 100%, because even they told me, like, some guys said they got the original one to work, but that's what's really hammering the transmission tunnel. But I just hammering the transmission tunnel that much, I feel like the engine is going to be up too high almost. Like it seems like the angle is correct now. And like I said, I actually made this lower so that I can add shims underneath in case it came down too low. I could bring it up, because that's how it usually is from factory. You have some wiggle room. I would like to tack weld here as well so nothing comes apart. But basically this piece will be left in there. I'll cut it short next to here, weld it all around. It's going to be a lot of extra support. And then this thing's going to be cut down the middle, so then I'll heat and bend that metal that way, so I have something to weld it to, and that way the exhaust won't hit this, obviously. Basically, this is the passenger side, and this is the driver's side. But like I said, I gotta shore everything up. I gotta test fit it. But at least now this is in the original place. It's going to bolt to the original. There's like bushings on either end, so I think that's the best way to do this, and uses the least amount of metal. Right, we get to reuse the metal that's here in the car. And like I said, I haven't even tacked it there, but because it's close to the bolt, I'd rather do it on the outside than the inside. So I figured I'd just do it here. Oh, on this side, I did it because, you know, I'm nowhere near the bolt hole. This bolt hole is just there. You know, there's the other one was this side, so that went down with it. You know, the only drawback is if the transmission mount ever had to be changed, you have to take this out. But it's really just 2 bolts on either end, and then this, you know, and then 2 bolts that hold it into the tranny mount, and then there's 2 bolts on the tranny mount. But you might even be able to get in there. I really didn't pay attention, but this is the start of something that was you know, my idea to make this work, you know, somehow. And basically now, the way I was explaining it is this flat spot here and this flat spot is now level with the center. So I didn't really go down that much more. I mean, the head of the bolt is going to be sticking out of here. That's pretty much it. And I don't think the car is going to be, you know, hanging down that low that it's going to make too much of an issue. So my question is, I might just bring it to the welder and have him weld up everything I need to weld, because it's really nice to have a good weld and not a shitty weld. We'll see what happens. I'll see how my MIG welder works when I fix it, and I'll take it from there.